Why, hello there, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, children of all ages. My name is Mr. Dogboat333, and welcome back to Hearts of Iron 4, The New Order as the United Mexican States. Now, last video, we started working on a big old conference to denuclearize Latin America. It's going alright. Well, Argentina didn't show up, but they can go fuck themselves. But in the meanwhile, it is time to figure out what we're going to do with a certain case. Are we going to give the case over to DFS or recommend looking into the work of a local journalist? I'm going to recommend the DF. Oh, I can see this going horribly either way. I'll recommend the local journalist, actually, and we'll just kind of see how it ends up going. Well, that's not a good sign about what's going to happen over here. Yeah, Jesus fuck. Well, in the outskirts of Puebla, a neighborhood tavern fills with a stream of untimely customers. The owner watches as each man escapes the midday sun and sits in silence with their drink. The warm lights and dazzling decorations do nothing to brighten the dim atmosphere for drinkers. The final man to enter is the one that the barkeep knows well. Alejandro, what are you doing here? It's lunchtime, is it not? Shouldn't you be at the Tianguis? Alejandro wordlessly took a seat at the bar and removed his wide-brimmed hat. Across his face was a large bruise colored red and purple. My God, Alejandro, what happened? They took everything, my friend. I gave them all the money I had in my stall, and they beat me anyway. How's a man supposed to make an honest living? The injured man took a large gulp of freshly poured beer. Those jackbooted soldiers and their cronies. They told me that there were new regulations and new taxes. They had their orders, their new laws, and I could do nothing. Don't you understand? It's not just me. It's the entire market they were after. Said we're impeding the modernization of the economy, whatever that means. I understand you. A young man with long hair had appeared. We all understand you. You're not the first, and if the governor gets his way, he won't be the last. I've seen it all. Markets being shut down, traveling merchants and taxi drivers are laden with brutal regulations, doctors having pay cuts, and the indigenous are pushed away. Anyone who does not fit neatly into the governor and his business pals' capitalist agenda is being ground into the dust. It's not stopping anytime soon unless we do something about it. The youth paid for his drink and left. He saw every man walk into the bar equally dejected. Things had to change, but they would have to wait. He had protested at the university. He knew the power that the state held. Only a coalition that encompassed all of Pueblan society could force the government to concede to its tyranny. The revolution must be preserved. Well, Another fist slammed into Angel's abdomen, unleashing another barrage of pain and nausea into his core. The figures wore dark masks, barely distinct against the cloaks of conifers, blackened by the night. How long had it been now since he was dragged off by the lonely Serrano path into the forest? Another fist. Tell us who you work for and you may live, called one of Angel's assailants. Fuck you! Wrong answer. A foot slammed between his legs, sending Angel to his knees. He spat on the ground. How much time can you stay here, comrade? Army's looking for you, and when they find you, you're fucking dead. A chorus of laughter rang around the trees. Oh no. Are you gonna send your big brother after us too? We don't have time for this. Alfonso, get the hammer. Okay, I'll talk. A bunch of guys pay me, mostly local landowners. Hernandez, Jimenez, others. Well, some guys from the city. I met them in Madera. I don't know their names. Right. That's enough. Nearest village is a few hours' walk from here. So you've got quite the crawl ahead of you. I guess you'll just have to hope they're in the forgiven mood. Now, Alfonso, kindly smash this fucker's knees in. But I told you what you wanted! And I said you may live. Emphasis on may. Okay, so day 13. And that's all the information I have, said Simone, his double-face scanning the room anxiously. It was a start, thought Martinez. It'd been fairly clever of the journals to keep track of new vehicles, of a particular pair of U.S. border guards that had bought them in the past few months, to figure out that El Grillo only ever seemed to cross during their shifts. Interesting, certainly, but how the PJF would make them talk without a major lack incident was to be determined. Maybe that DFS agent from earlier would know. Couldn't hurt to keep them in the loop. There may be someone else who could tell you more, Simone said, voice dropping conspiratorially. I think I found the man who coordinates between the small fry like El Grillo and the higher-ups in the syndicate. He's agreed to meet with me at noon tomorrow out past the canyon, away from prying eyes. You think? Or you know? Asked Martinez, ever more tired of wild goose chases. As a devotee of the truth, I think I can say with confidence that I'll know tomorrow. Backup would be appreciated, by the way. I'll be much safer in the case that he's out to silence me. Martinez sighed. Was he going to spend his team's precious time protecting this paranoiac? Figure out how to interrogate those gringos. Well, we gotta figure out what we're doing first. And I say, we're doing you a big favor here. One. It's just gonna be 2 days left, right? There we go. And how long does it take to restart? 20 days. Okay, so we'll have to go down anyway. Coming up. The concrete structures rose high into the sky with equidistant gaps arranged in rows stretching out towards the end of a city block. Those rows would all eventually be rooms for men, women, and children to live their lives and make their own. Their structures still had a long way to go. There would be many more months left until the building would be habitable. But Medeiros could always see those holes in the structure teeming with life as citizens of the city made it their home. He turned to the engineer running the whole operation and gave a smile just as a flash of a press camera caught the moment. You've done a wonderful job here. You and your men have done marvelous work creating the structure as efficiently as you have. It's well within budget, and I can assure you this sort of organizational planning will be used for projects like this in the near future. Thank you, Your Excellency, the engineer grinned. I'm just doing my job, sir. Tails then turned towards the press, all of whom had their pens and notebooks out, ready to scratch down whatever words came next. The Tlatelolco Habitational Unit will represent a new era for Mexico City. The grand progress of the ISSSTE is making in this construction. I'm proud to announce that this building, along with other ISSSTE buildings, have been built across this great city. Will soon become key parts of the ever-developing landscape of Mexico City. Thank you for your time. Building the homes of the future today. Let's do our base industries. More like our base industries, am I right? Heh. Mexico is a beautiful land, awash with resources, simply waiting to be properly used by its people for their own benefit. A realization that's flared our economy to new heights and resulted in something of an economic miracle. Facilitating the extraction of those resources, we put a new focus on our mining and extraction efforts. The fruits of our labor are eminently obvious. We now drink deeply from the supply of steel and oil that we do not have to grovel to any other nation for. Make a tidy profit from selling to other nations as if we weren't going good. As if it weren't going good enough already. The success story speaks for itself, and we should continue to buckle down further and develop these mining sectors. The goal, after all, is upwards, and we are ready to climb up as fast as our efforts will take us as a stronger figure of trade on the world stage. Alright, so there's the Paraguayan Bush War. All was still. Jose Maria's mouth moved neither to consume nor joke. Roberto's eyes ceased their search for threats, instead boring down the only approach to their patch of scrubland, a short trail leading from the road. Commander Martinez had set down his notepad. He'd reviewed for long enough. Simone no longer paced nervously. Perhaps the armed PGF contingent had finally reassured the journalist. Either his informant from Syndicate would show and blow the case wide open, or all would remain and all would slip away. Third possibility now occurred to Simone, that a distant gunshot would ring out, a bullet glancing off the hood of his Chevy half a meter to the left. They would throw himself to the rocky ground, but feel no pain, only the frantic desire to be anywhere else, to be swallowed by the earth. They would haul himself forward with the torn and bleeding arm towards the sole safety his racing mind could find, towards the tire of a car. That Martinez's barked orders would be pierced by the sounds of a second shot. Simone's hand reached the tire's rim a moment later. One final heave, he hugged himself close to it. Who was firing? More importantly, from his immediate survival, from where? His estimate of PGF's shouts and movements suggested they knew a little more than they did. The only shot remaining was from Roberto's gun, fired at the movement he swore he saw amongst the rocks of the mouth of the canyon. The PGF trained their weapons on the spot for 30 agonizing minutes, but saw no more. When Perez arrived as backup at long last, they scoured the area, but found no shells, no prints. As darkness fell, so did any hope of finding their attacker. The only response to their questions was the stillness of the desert. Oh, shit. Mexico City, 501 June 1964. Their security director. Ojinga, Chihuahua. 5 days ago, PGF officers Sebastian Martinez, Roberto Velasquez, and Jose Maria Garcia attempted to meet with an alleged informant from an opium smuggling syndicate operating in Chihuahua. The meeting was arranged by local journalist Simone Lopez, who claimed to identify a man responsible for coordinating smuggling activity for the drug syndicate. As a result of unwarranted trust in this journalist and negligent fieldcraft, the PGF was lured into a trap organized by local forces of the Guadalajara cartel, a Japan-linked trafficking organization. While no serious injuries were incurred, the PGF were unable to apprehend or even identify their attackers. Upon learning the incident, DFS agents arrived at the Chihuahua station, used previous leads to identify them as two hired killers of the Guadalajara cartel. Locating the two assassins in the town of Aldama, outside Chihuahua City, the DFS engaged and killed the duo. In their possession was a Kempaitai directive ordering them to eliminate threats, control the smuggling routes, as well as a suitcase containing yen. Given the confirmation of the involvement of Japanese intelligence, this is a matter of national security, and accordingly will be under the exclusive purview of the DFS. Agents of Chihuahua Station will begin cleanup operations immediately, including the seizure of known and suspected cartel members and assets. Simone Lopez has been detained as a potential collaborator of the cartel. The route of PGF officers involved is also recommended given their inability to prosecute the case. Stamped and archived. Oh, credit ratings improved. Wonderful. We now have our maximum credit. Look at that. Do I want to reload and try to do that again? Not really, to be honest. It's interesting that doesn't, Lying dormant for years, the old church on the hill half a mile west of a small Oroxican village is bustling with life and activity. Underneath the age groups bearing faded, heavenly depictions, dozens of people sleep, eat, and talk. A just married couple embrace each other, crying next to doorways to console each other. An old window, comforted by her dog, lies without expression on the front pew, stroking the fur of the only thing of value that remains in her life. A few working-class men converse while breaking bread, grumbling away while their wives do the same on the other side of the room. Children play a game of tag between the aisles, despite the frustration of their parents, seemingly oblivious of the situation. Between all of them, the creaking wood floorboards, dozens of foodstuffs, drinks, sleeping bags, and belongings line the pews. Outside, dozens of farm animals, tethered to fence posts, surrounded the place of worship, alongside a mother, father, and daughter, viewing their home being demolished from afar. Amidst the sounds of the animals, the distant humming of bulldozers, company cars, and the crashing walls are heard. What do those men say, Dad? Why do we have to leave? Something about a decree concerning resources in the area. It seems we're in the way of the mining company. Spits out an insult. Bastards. Could they not have just employed us? All this talk of social justice and progress. All bullshit. His wife reached over for a hug, though eyes out when a bulldozer reduces their ancestral home to rubble. Dios mío. Well, naval dockyards might be okay, but I'm not really too worried about naval dockyards. Let's deprive imperialism. When you really think about it, what has foreign investment done for us that requires us to hang around like a beggar, hoping a new factory or a road will be generously placed into our cup by the kind sir of the United States of a nice gentleman of Japan? Some of our greatest strides in this nation have been because we decided to stand on our own 2 feet, throwing out the foreign idiots who mismanage our electrical sector and demanding that our automobiles be produced here in Mexico. Just 2 prime examples of preferred methods of taking full control of our resources and laboring ourselves to achieve results. President Lopez Mateos' vision hasn't failed us yet, becoming less reliant on imports so we can start working and make things ourselves only breeds success. So Mexico has no interest in the passive imperialism that allowing foreign investment brings. Next time their investments come calling, we won't even answer the phone. There we go. The Institutional Revolutionary Party required a rally, and a rally it got. A series of conferences, speeches, and parades to put New York ticker tape parades to shame. Tireless labor on the part of the pre-electoral machine and the corporations, the better to ensure the success of their patrons' bidding saw thousands crowd in squares and streets across the state of Mexico. The presidential candidate was busy with the business of state, but his chosen band of agitators stood ready to press his case on his behalf. They cried out, "Under the leadership of the next president, there will be stronger social programs, the better to ensure that every Mexican has a fair shake at life under the aegis of the party." Loud cheers. More social security will be made available to the Mexican people, the better for them to live well and prosperously with their families. Vigorous applause. United Mexican states will reform themselves politically, so as to ensure that the will of the people will be better represented. Raucous cheers. The party of institutional revolution shall be preserved, defending the legacy of the revolution of 1910. The building shook with the enthusiasm of the party militants. Long live revolution. Long live Mexico. Well, there we go. We could do this one more time in a couple of days. Oh, shit. Look at that. The socialist won. Excuse me. Ukrainian Socialist Soviet Republic, a friend of the channel. Played them before. It was a fun campaign. If you haven't checked that out, I'd recommend doing so. Britain is still free. Look at that. It gains a new strongman, huh? Right-wing populism. There we go. Got that covered. Does this just cover it for any focus? I think it does. Well, this is going. I think that's how that works. That's interesting. Okay. Let's go ahead and reform Article 123. Workers shall be entitled to participation of the profits of enterprise. So says subsection L of Article 123 of our nation's Constitution. This extract is hardly a new discovery, as many Mexicans have combed through our Constitution since its writing in 1917. And Article 123 is one of the most progressive parts of the document that we are, of course, very proud of. The curious thing is that to our knowledge, this subsection is not enforced in any way, and seemingly never has been. It's a baffling state of affairs that some of our people have been denied their rights, but there is an opportunity here. By implementing this part of the article, if somewhat modestly, workers across the nation will see a fair raise in their wages across the board, and a move which was sure to be immensely popular. To top it off, the unions will be appeased and be able to rest a bit easier for a while. Now, finally, the workers will have their dues, as it was decreed all those many years ago. Not help with poverty, which I think will be quite good. Such old tricky dick. The government did not immediately begin. The outrage did not begin immediately. For months, a powder keg had been growing around Puebla. Governor Castillo and his associates' great industrialization programs had forced the state into modernity. The breakneck nature of this transformation not only left many citizens behind, but also angry citizens. The fuse that would eventually light the powder keg came from an unexpected place. On an ensuing day in a particularly busy legislative session, a law was passed by a supermajority of state Congress, drafted by Castillo's administration and approved by the PRI. The law was ratified without much debate. The next day, the new pasteurization law was announced far from the front page of every local newspaper. The new law stipulated that all milk sold in the state must be pasteurized first. On the surface, it was a common-sense law that guaranteed the health and safety of milk drinkers. Understandably, it was the dairy farmers who discovered the problem first. Some immediately, others after a couple of days. The only plant in the state capable of pasteurizing large quantity of milk is owned by the governor's allies. Word spread, and outrage followed. It seems that the whole milk industry left their farms and ranches to protest the new law. The local branch of Cardenas' independent present confederation, the CCI, followed their comrades in solidarity. By week's end, the milkmen and their allies filled the streets with white-hot rage. All this over some spoiled milk. I guess so. No need to cry over it. It hasn't been spilled yet. That's what I'm saying, at least. Brotherhood, Jesus. I've been considering playing the AB. The Demonetization Brotherhood. Might do that one of these days. I don't know yet. It was bad in Puebla before. The shouts of those marching down the streets would go on from day to night, night to day, during supper, during lunch, during prayer, doing much to fill the air around with slogans and whatnot. All that was apparently not the worst the passage of the Pasteurization Act could throw. The AUP declared their support for the dairy farmers, and now student movements have been added their own screams and souls to the streets, protesting essentially taking over the state as order is reduced to a paper-thin line. And then came the Cardenista CCI to drum up tens of thousands of protesters, summoning everyone in their ranks and bringing out each individual who hated Nava Castillo out of their homes. Even neighboring state of Tlaxcala joined in the madness as residents rose against their own Pasteurization Act. Society is essentially broken in the hourglass of development, halting anything resembling it with fists clenched on high. The streets now crumbling under the weight of rioters who tear the leftover facade of control and use it to burn a new fire revolt. Each and every single one of them united in one great march to repeal the law to the state Congress. At the 11th hour, the streets were reclaimed by peace and law. The march crushed and the protesters dealt with. Unfortunately, the gust of wind that we thought would kill off the fires only served to make an inferno of that proportions. The protesters left emboldened. They set their sights on the next march. Each step, an earthquake. Each delay, another soul. Tomorrow, another crisis. The current focus will cancel and all foci will be locked aside from the Thorn our side branch, which, as His Excellency, solves the Puebla crisis. Oh, good thing we got that done. 10 July 1964. Today I was able to sign the reform of Article 123 of the Mexican Constitution into effect. And it feels good. I haven't felt as happy signing the law in a very long time. Thanks to the law, all companies will now operate under a profit-sharing program so as to guarantee workers a share in the profits of companies and the establishments for which they work. I've been told by the economists that this amounts to nothing less than a 10 to 15% raise in salary across the board. Needless to say, everyone is very happy in and out of the government. I didn't think that we would be so unified around a proposal ever again, but somehow we pulled it off. Or perhaps that I pulled it off. My family insists I should be a lot more proud of myself that I'm giving off, and perhaps they are right. Yes, perhaps they are in the right. After all, this reform has finally entitled workers to the rights that they were meant to receive in 1917. Even if only modestly, I've at last started to fulfill one of the key promises of the old revolution. And hopefully this might also do one more thing. Maybe the bad feeling from the strikes I had to put down in 59 will begin to fade now. At least that's what I hope. Well, here goes another bad feeling. The thorn in our side. 5 years. 5 years since the Cuban Revolution set Puebla alight. 5 years of marches and bullets and arrests, and still the state seethes. 2 governors have come to Puebla since the revolt began, and it has outlasted them both. Radicals to our left and right ply their wards in the streets, and everyday resistance to our administration grows bolder. We cannot idly sit and watch a state so close to the federal district is convulsed in violence. Governor Nava Castillo has displayed the same prowess in the political arena as he did as captain of our Olympic polo team. He must be made aware that he has received his position for one reason: to strangle this mockery of a revolution in its crib. Well, let's get green, white, and red. The breed is a vital legacy of the Mexican Revolution, a powerful and versatile instrument for us to ensure that the equality and peace its soldiers fought for are their descendants to keep for the decades to come. But in the emergency, we must put down this Swiss Army knife and pick up a machete. The Byzantine nature of the pre-party politics and corporatism have prevented a rapid and effective response to the crisis in Puebla. Governor Castillo, a capable general, plans to militarize the state to forcibly end the unfolding chaos. We will back him with full resources of a Secretary of National Defense and a Secretary of the Marine, despite Lopez Mateos' wretchedness at betraying the party and popular will he has spent a decade building. For strength is the only way to spare Puebla the years of the desolation and violence that affected Guerrero. I mean, if you say so. Alright, so the embers of the Porfiriato must be completed before a focus from another branch can be taken. That makes sense. I'm not surprised. This will get us back the legacy we lost. We only lost 5 legacy, which isn't too bad, but construction is actually coming along quite nicely. I'm thinking we could do a little bit of this. Could do a bit of that too. Oh no, can't quite right now. Wait, could we? No, we couldn't. I guess we do have to have the political power, which we might get in the next video. We'll have to wait and see though. Thanks always for watching, my friends. If you like this video, like. If not, feel free to dislike. Leave any comments and feedback down in the comment section below. I read all the comments I get. Appreciate any feedback you have for me. Want to keep up to date with his uploads, so sub on the notification bell. I have uploads going up weekdays as well, occasionally Saturdays. Leave any I already said that part. Check my various links for vlogs below. And yeah, that's gonna be it for now, my friends. I thank you all for watching. My name has been Mr. Dogboat333, and we'll see you all in the next video. Oh no, I'm looking at Europe right now. We're over here. Anyway, thanks for watching, guys, and bye-bye.